Houston, we have a problem. Red alert! Red alert! Well, guys, welcome to my life. It looks like we have a problem here. This water heater that I just bought a couple years ago is starting to act up, and it has some problems. So basically what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how to deal with these problems if you have a water heater like this one. And this happens to be a Rheem water heater, as you can see way up there. Rheem Performance water heater. Yeah, it's not performing very well at all. After 2 years, it has some problems. And the thing is, you see that little red blinking light right there? That tells you what the problem is. If you count the different lights and you look at the little panel on top, it tells you what the problem is. So I already contacted Rheem, and this unit, it's still under warranty, and they sent me the parts to replace it, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And basically, we're going to be replacing a couple different things. First of all, this unit right here is going to be replaced, and then a sensor that is way over there is going to be replaced. So I need to take all this out to get to that sensor, because the engineers were so smart that that sensor right there needs to be taken out from the inside. You can't unthread it and remove it. No. You have to take out this entire burner assembly to be able to unthread it from the inside, not the outside. No, that would be too easy. So it has to be undone from the inside. And then this guy has to be unthreaded from the tank. And I'm going to show you how to do all that. So sit back, get some popcorn, and enjoy my misery. Because we're gonna have to go through this stuff and deal with these problems. So here we go. Let's sit back and let's get this puppy fixed. Alright guys, let's crack this puppy open. There's a couple of T20 Torx screws here and a couple up here, and that's what we need to get out. And then a couple fittings right here to be able to loosen up all the lines and pull this puppy out of here, because all this needs to come out. We'll deal with this in a little bit later on. So by now you should have turned off the water and turned off the gas, because there will be water leaking when we take this off, and we need to disconnect the gas because it'll come out through here as well. So take care of that first. Let's start taking care of this stuff right here. Before you start working, make sure you turn off the water heater so it's not hot when you're working on here, because the burner is right behind that. So it's bound to be really, really hot if you're not careful. This is the wire for the sensor that we're actually having to replace. All this other stuff is fine. That sensor over there is bad. And be careful with these lines. You don't want to break them, and you don't want to kink them. And you're going to basically need a 3/4 inch to be able to get into that 3/4 inch. And this one is a 7/16. So you're going to need these two to take these guys apart. And there's a screw with a nut right here that comes from the inside out. I didn't know if I need to take that out, but I'm thinking I do, so I'll take that apart. Trust me, the instructions that came with these parts is not good at all. All right, so we take that nut off of there. Let's see if that'll make it easier to take it apart. All right, there you go. So the outside part comes off first, and then we'll take out the burner. And there is your burner assembly right there. And for 2 years, this thing is really gross and dirty inside. I don't know why, but there's your burner. And this is the sensor that we're replacing right now. This is the troublemaker right there. All right, guys, so this is the sensor that we're going to replace, and basically it has to be threaded from the inside. That's why we had to take this whole thing apart to be able to get the inner and the outer part separated. And you're going to need a 1/2 inch for the inside, 1/2 inch wrench for the inside. And oddly enough, the outside is metric, 13 inch. It's not a 1/2 inch, it's not a 9/16, it's 13. Can you believe that? Crazy nonsense. I guess you could use a couple of pliers to do this, but I'm going to use wrenches just to be safe and get a good secure lock on it. So let's see, it shouldn't be too hard. It says to tighten it to 14 to 15 foot-pounds, so it shouldn't be too tight unless it's gotten tight because of all the heating and cooling and all that. So let's see how it goes. There we go. That wasn't too bad. All right, so that's the sensor right there. You can see how the copper or brass or whatever it is has really gotten discolored from a couple of years of heating and cooling. So the new one is a lot shinier and prettier. And by the way, all these scratch marks on here were there from the factory install. That's not me. You see that I got some good attachment on there with the 1/2 inch, so I didn't scratch it at all. I noticed that right when I took that off. And I took a little bit of wire brush and I cleaned off the burner a little bit because it was all kind of gross and disgusting. So I cleaned off on any residue on top of the burner before I put it back in. So let's put this puppy back in here now. Here's the nice new one, and you can see it's nice and shiny. Again, probably brass. I'm assuming it's brass. It doesn't look like copper. So that looks like what we're going to put back in right now. And this sensor goes inside of this tubing. And this reaches out all the way over here, and that's what gives it the information of what it needs to do. So all this trouble for this little guy. Why couldn't they just thread it out here so you could pull it out, put it in, and not have to tear everything apart? That would have been smart engineering. That would have been way too easy. That's not the American way. All right, let's put this puppy back in here. And there you go. That should be good enough. Like I said, only 14 to 15 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque measurer that can use a wrench like this on it. So I'm guessing it basically means hand tighten. So it shouldn't be too hard at all. So there you go. That should do it right there. Now we can put that puppy back in. Let's move on to removing the other box. All right, guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this controller box thermostat right here. And to do that, I'm going to disconnect the gas line over here, and I need to drain the tank because this goes threaded right into the water tank. So the water is going to leak out of here, so I need to drain it out. So I'm going to put a hose on here. I'm going to drain out the water. I'm not going to make you watch all that because that's kind of boring. I'm sure you understand what's going on. Let me drain the tank, disconnect this right here, and I'll come back when I'm ready to take this guy off. Alright guys, so I drained the tank and I removed the gas line, as you can see right there. This is totally inert, and I had to drain the tank because this goes into the water tank, so water will probably leak out of here when I take this off. So have a little bucket or something ready so you can catch some water right there if it starts dripping. Be prepared and, be prepared for any kind of situation. Anyway, so to take this unit out, you need a very special tool. Very expensive, very unique kind of tool that some of you guys may have, some of you may not have, but I'm just warning you, you're going to need a very special tool. It's called a 1/2-inch MPT pipe. There you go. Very expensive, hard to come by tool, okay? And this is real. I'm not making this up. This is in the instructions. This is what you're supposed to use. So what you do is you thread this in and you use this for leverage. So here we go. You thread this into the gas line port. And then you use the same thing on the new one to put that back in. So let's get this puppy out of here. And there you go. Fortunately, no water leaked out. That's amazing. It's actually pretty dry in there. There you go. Now, what we do is we put the new one back in. All right, guys. So this guy comes with pipe dope already installed on it, but I put some pipe thread on top of that just to be extra safe. I don't want the water leaking out of there. You never know what's going to happen. Better safe than sorry. So using my special tool again, let's put this puppy back in. You basically do the reverse now. Oh, and by the way, one thing to mention is always clean the threads before you put this back because the old one left a lot of residue on there. You want to make sure you clean it up thoroughly before you put this guy back in. And that should be good and tight right there. I don't think I can go another turn, so I'll leave it just right there. So now all I'm going to do is hook up the gas line again. I'm going to hook this guy back up onto here, and then I'm going to turn on the water, make sure there's no leaks before I start putting everything back in there. Because obviously you can see it's easier to deal with this without that stuff in the way at the bottom. So be right back. All right, guys, we have the burner ready to go. I replaced the sensor. You see this shiny little guy right here? It's good to go. Let's put this puppy back in. And I cleaned off the top of this a little bit. I don't know why it got so dirty, but there you go. That's the way life is. Let's put this guy back in and get it put back together. And there is a little bracket that it has to sit in back there. Make sure you get it totally in that bracket as you sit it back in there, nice and gently. You don't want to mess it up. All right, so you line up the little torque screws, put them back in, and you should be good to go. Don't want it to move out of position. get the cover back in place. Come on, guy, move out of my way. Stay up there. There you go. That fits back in there. Tighten these guys up nice and tight. There are no torque settings in the instructions, so I guess you just hand tighten them. Get them snug down, and that's it. You're good to go. There are no torque settings for these guys either, so it's basically hand tighten. And these guys did not have any Teflon tape. There's some yellow material inside this controller box, which I'm sure seals it when you put it back up. Put this little nut back on, and we're done down here. All we got to do is hook up these guys again, and we're done. And that's it. That's nice and snug. Now let's put these guys back in. Gently. You don't want to break them or kink them or damage them or anything. Slowly work it back in there. And be careful not to cross-thread them either. Take your time. And there you go, that's that. Then all you do is hook up these little guys again. This wire down here, you can hook it up behind it if you want to, so it's not flopping around in the wind. This guy here too. Hook this guy up. So you don't want it to be too short. This guy back in there. It tells you very clearly white and red, so you can't mix it up, okay? So that's easy to go back in there, no trouble at all. It should only go in one way, but just in case, they did mark it. And this guy goes back up in here. And that's it. We are ready to go now. So all we have to do, I have to reach back there and turn on the gas, and then we'll test this puppy. Alright guys, so I turned on the gas. It's way back there, so I couldn't have the camera going and all that. I had to move the camera out of the way to be able to reach back there. Anyway, so before you get everything going, go ahead and get some soapy water and test everything. Make sure you have no gas leaks anywhere. I already checked for water leaks. Back here, totally dry. No water leaks from this unit, so nothing to worry about there. Check for gas leaks now. Use some soapy water, spray it on there, and you're good to go. Hopefully there's no bubbles. Everything is good. And have a claw so you can catch it and not make a mess all over the place, and you should be fine. Anyway, I'm sure you guys can't see back there, but I can, and there are no bubbles. So we're good as far as the gas goes. And I'm sure every unit's going to be a little different, but all you have to do is, this guy I have it set to off. All you do is put it on pilot, press the button in, and then you press this button in at the same time. So you're going to use both hands. Press this guy in and hold it. Press this guy in until this light starts blinking, and that means your pilot is turned on, and then you set it to whatever temperature you want, and you're good to go. So let's take care of doing that. Put it on pilot, press it in and hold it, and then I generally just press this button a few times, and then just hold it. And then the light, which it's the status light, is under my hand, you probably can't see it. You wait until that blinks blue, and then you're set. So I can't move my hand to show you, but I'll tell you when it's ready. And you may need to wait a little while as it needs to purge all the air out of the line. Since it's a brand new system, you're going to have some air in there. And there you go. Now it's blinking blue, so you set it to your temperature. And you will hear it. There you go. I don't know if you heard it, but it kicked on right now, so the burner's going. So this light should stay blinking blue normally. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. You see it. So this light is blinking blue. Everything is fine. When you start blinking red like before, you read all these up here, and the amount of blinks will tell you exactly what the problem is, and you know how to fix it, or you know what parts to order, all that kind of good stuff. So there you go. All I got to do now is put the cover back on the front here, and we're done. This system should hopefully work fine from now on. So that shows you right there how to basically replace the chamber sensor and the thermostat for your Rheem Rhud GE water heaters. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye for now.